we talk about the test of the support level at 7300. So has been tested a few times. So first of all, there was this long demand tail, and then we have another attempt to push down for the continuation of the downside, and eventually we have a reversal bar, so end up having a fake breakdown. So this is just like a spring, a temporary commitment, just to try to push it down and break below 7300, but no follow through, and instead there was just one day they actually commit below 7300. But if you look closely, this bar, that's the bar on Wednesday. So the bar on Wednesday actually did not really break below Tuesday's low. So Tuesday's low is just at about 72.40, 46, 47. So Wednesday, despite just close below 7300, but the low did not really just attempt to break below Tuesday low. And Thursday was a game changer. So we do have a fake out. So if you take a look at the Tuesday low, so there is sort of like a spring of the low, undercut it, and then have a rally immediately, and then get back above 7300. So this is very important because this is a spring setup. It means that there's only a temporary commitment, and if you look at the hourly chart, that's really just a very quick moment that actually committed below 7300 and then have a strong rally up. Okay, so look at this. So that's on the low right there, and then we have a spring. Okay, so this is really just a spring, and eventually undercuts the low and rally up, and followed by a test, and then just have a rally. And this day right here is just a strong gap up. So strong gap up, and then eventually just rally into the previous all-time high level. So what stands out in this hourly chart is actually this two bearish bar. So we have this very bearish, huge bearish bar right here, and it came with excessive supply level. So there's ton of the supply shown up right there. So looking at this, we can definitely tell that there is a lot of the supply, and also the sentiment is very bearish. But subsequent tests, although forming a lower low, but that's really just a spring, just a temporary commitment below the previous low, and then followed by a test. So that's a test, and came with higher low with decreasing of the supply as well. So that is very encouraging. And subsequent moment, we have a rally, and then have a test right there, and look at where it actually stopped. So this is quite an important level, 7400 level, and it just break out, have a test, and eventually just committed above before this big gap up. So everything is working out as per the anticipation. So especially if you look at the 7300 support level as a support, and then we have a spring, a commitment, but never go beyond Tuesday's low, and then eventually have a reversal bar on Thursday. And Friday, that just shows that it wants to go up higher, because it's just the first time that it can actually committed above 7400. So we also talk about this level. So this is also another level, 74, 73, because that's really the level that tested the showing the two rejection tail. So there was this rejection tail shown up right here, and then another rejection tail here. but look at this strong commitment. So there is a gap up, just jump across this resistance level. So this is very encouraging and very bullish, and straight to the previous all-time high level. And overall, right now this is just a test of the previous resistance level. So a bit of the rejection tail, totally fine. And from the slightly longer term or medium term, this is just a trading range. So we have a trading range from somewhere around 7300 all the way to 7600 or 7630. So this was the anticipation. So talk about as long as 7300 was holding up, then it's likely going to form a consolidation between 7300 and also the previous swing high level, 7600 level. So it just went up quickly, rally up strongly, and right to the previous all-time high level. So right now, it's likely going to test the supply level right at the top here. And I wouldn't be surprised if it just spends some time to consolidate. But this is quite an important moment because last week we also discussed using two previous analog. I think the first one was this bar right here. So there was a change of character bar that actually dropped 2.7%, comparable to this bar right here, about that is 2.6%, and another change of character bar that's back in 2024. Okay, so this is the bar 18 December, so that's minus 3%. So right after this bar, usually it will just form a consolidation. So back in 2024, there was this consolidation that actually lead to a distribution breakdown and then sell off. So back in 2025, this is a consolidation and then eventually lead to quite a prolonged sideways market, and with a spring effect breakdown, or you can call it a terminal shakeout because that extent to the downside looks quite deep, and followed by a single strength rally. So here is a similar movement. So we do have the uh, change of character bar. So as shown up here, so there was the change of character bar back in 5th of June, minus 2.6%. And subsequently, it just formed a trading range. So right now, I would say that the trading range is still unfolding. Okay, so that's a trading range. It would be totally normal and healthy if it just pull back or even attempt to rally, followed by some rejection, pull back, and using this gap as a support and to consolidate right here, forming the right handle. That will be very, very bullish. Okay, so that is the most bullish scenario that it could develop, and also very healthy. So even if it just kind of fill this gap and then back to test the low near the 7300, that's also completely normal as well. So we'll need to see how much supply is left right at the top there. Okay, so right now this is still a very healthy pullback or consolidation. So regarding the previous leadership, like the semiconductor team, so if there's any pullback, consolidation, or a small base setup, that will be the chance to scale in as well. Okay, so just look for to buy on the relative strength, buy on a weakness, and because this is likely a reaccumulation for majority of the previous leadership stocks. Okay, so right now the swing is still up. It doesn't mean that it needs to reverse when it's testing the resistance level. So the swing is still up unless Monday's low was taken out. So Monday's low was at 75.42. So As long as this low is holding up, the swing is still up, and it could just challenge higher ground before it have a pullback. So medium term, that will be sideways between 73 to about 76.30. Okay, so even if it goes sideways, and I think that will be very bullish, because right now the market breadth has been improving, and there will be a lot of the setup that we can choose from.